B minor.
X Factor.
Let's go. Sunday night. Here we are. Can't wait to get this started. B minor out here in Portland, Oregon. Really excited to see who's going to get kicked out of the chat first. So if you're faithful followers of the show, you know a little bit about B minor and the X Factor. We've been trolled. So there's going to be some of you guys that will be escorted from the chat or from the meeting. So thanks to everybody for watching. Appreciate you guys tuning in on YouTube. If you're watching live, let's go. We're here with my man, one of the most positive, engaging people I've met. And his name is Jesse. Jesse has an amazing story he's going to get to share with us tonight, talking a little bit about his trip, his journey from Alaska, the last frontier, the great frontier, the
gold front, any of the frontiers. Just put any word before it in frontier, and I think you're good to go.
Any one of the frontiers, but especially the great frontier. You're going to hear how he got from being a small town guy in Alaska to getting to being a Kobe Bryant commercial, starring in a movie with Kevin Durant, all sorts of awesome stuff. Jesse, we do have the ability to share the screen. So if there's any videos you want me to pull up, feel free to direct me to those and we can pull them up. But thank you for being here so much, Jesse.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. This is really cool. I'm excited to be here and meet the X Factor. I know you, so I know that's good. But now I got the X Factor in my life here, and I don't know how I can't be a changed man.
I'm telling you, Jesse, B minor and the X Factor makes lifelong connections. It's so much more than just a podcast. It's a connection builder.
It's funny because there was a guy on our team in high school. He was a big guy. He actually ended up going to, I think, UW on a football scholarship. I don't even think he played football in hike school, but he was just that big. And he would go, everyone called him the X Factor. So every time you do that, I think of this dude, Mike Bruce. And he was a goofball, but yeah, no, the X Factor thing, I think you got something good going there. So now if you were going to, maybe you've already done this, but if you were going to throw something that you've learned from your college experience, whether it's just on the basketball front or just anything from that time, because you're current, like I lived it a long time ago, but you're still in the middle of it right now. So do you have anything like you would want to share? Like if you could only share one thing with all these people listening right now, take away and
Yeah, absolutely. So the number one thing for me, and this is what I tell everybody, a lot of people DM me and whatnot, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, text, all that good stuff. And they ask me, hey, I'm coming out of high school right now. I'm trying to go to the next level. Either I'm trying to, or I am going to the next level. And what's the number one piece of advice, that you can give me? Very similar to the question that you asked me. What I tell them is literally is first of all, chase your dreams and don't let anybody tell you that you can't, that you cannot. That's the biggest thing for me. Because, growing up, what you were talking about, the X Factor that earlier, and he's so big that he went to UW, just basically off the size. If you see me, it's the exact opposite, okay? I'm listed at 5'10". I'm actually 5'8". I'm listed at 165. I'm actually 155. So, I'm not the most physical specimen. So, growing up, I wanted to play basketball. It was my passion. I loved it. I played every single day. I was going in the mornings to work out. Just being resilient, persevering through whatever. People are going to tell you, hey, you can't do it. Why are you doing it? There's no reason for you to do it because you're not going to get to the next level. So the number one piece of advice that I tell people, and not that I just tell people, but that I actually lived myself and was able to experience, and now I'm able to experience an accomplished goal that I wanted. On the tail end, the reason that is able to happen is because I just, said, hey, I don't care what anybody says. Forget about all that. Stay driven. Stay, locked in. And I would say that's the number one thing is chase your dreams and don't let anybody tell you that you cannot.
Yeah, I love it. It makes me think of this this quote that I love, and it's like, you can't beat someone who never gives up. And I think Babe Ruth said it, but it's like, oh yeah, I've been on this kind of journey, and I'll get a random text from Brant now and again where he's I don't know where he's out at some restaurant or something, and he sees me on I think the one he sees me on the most is like this travel show where I used to go all over the world. And that girl with the red hair, Brant, she just got engaged yesterday, which is crazy. It's like she was a little kid when I met her, and now she's like engaged and moving on to the next chapter of her life. But I've been doing all this stuff in entertainment and TV now. and I've been trying to get my own show, right? So I was actually on a different kid's show, and one of the co-stars on it was this girl whose dad was Montel Williams. So a lot of you probably don't even know who that is, but he had his own show back in the day, the Montel Williams Show. And so I kind of learned and got to pick his brain and try to understand. And that's the same thing like for you. These kids are getting to experience, or the coaches or whoever's listening to this later or now or live, to find out, because you never know what you can learn from somebody. And if you can find people who are on the top of the game, and you can alleviate a decade of you making mistakes and going down the wrong road, being in the wrong relationships, doing the wrong things, it'll help you in basketball, in life, or eventually in business, and having a family and being a member of your community. So, dude, I think that's awesome. And today you have the opportunity to learn from the most elite people, whether it's Kyrie Irving or LeBron, or whoever you like. For me, it was Pistol Pete. You know, I'm making my nephews, I'm visiting them in Phoenix right now. And I'm like, you guys have never seen The Pistol, you know, the movie, the Pete Maravich story. I'm like, how is that possible? And I'm forcing them to watch it, because that movie had such a big impact on my life, of just basically seeing a guy who was a gym rat and spent the most time, like you were saying earlier, with the basketball in his hand. But to bring it full circle back to your quote, Brant's seen me on these different things here and there. And it's like, I keep failing. I keep losing. I keep being told no. You know, I heard Kevin Hart. I used to go down that rabbit hole about 4 or 5 years ago, because I really liked what he did with his career. And he'll talk about, for years and years and years, he was trying to make it in Hollywood, and he had no money, and he would just kept being told, no, you're not the guy, you're not the one, you're not talented, you're not going to be next. And so what he did was he went and he just grinded it out on the road doing stand-up comedy, and built up a fan base big enough where when he came back, they had to say yes to him. And it's that continually being told no, and keeping going and keeping moving, and having resilience. And that's something that's interesting today, because so many people want to be successful. They see these people that they think are happy, that have millions of followers or on TV, who a lot of times aren't even really happy, but they don't realize that, yes, there's the fluke that happens, and you're Little Nas X, and you do the song and you make a meme, and you hear him talk and he's clueless, and he's like, yeah, man, I had to work really, really hard. For 3 months, I made like 10 memes a week. And it took all that time before I blew up and made millions of dollars. And you're like, dude, you have no clue what it's like, what it means to work hard and lose and fail, you know. And now he's touring around, and I don't know if he really makes money, but he's probably made it, you know, a couple $100,000 at least. But that's the grind, and you have to learn how to enjoy the journey, you know. And that's hard if you're, how I think you are, like type A, like me, because it's like you just want to win, and you see these people that are, you know, making the millions of dollars and doing the things that you want to do, and you're like, I'm way more talented than that guy. I'm funnier. I'm better looking. I know more people. I can connect with people more. But that doesn't guarantee you the win. You still got to keep losing and losing, and before you can get that W at the end of the day, no matter what it is you're doing, whether it's basketball, a sport, a hobby, music, whatever it is, the people who win are the people who weren't afraid to fail over and over and over again, because that's part of the process of winning. You know, right now my little nephew's working on his shot. He plays baseball and basketball, and his form's not good. He's got some stuff we got to change on it, but and I went through this at one point where I'm like, I got to have my elbow in. You know, I kind of always had it out. I got to have it in. Well, that took like a summer of me doing nothing but 500 shots a day and missing more than I made until it became natural. And then eventually it was a much higher percentage shot that would go in. You know, it was a better shot. But in the short term, I had to fail over and over again and be frustrated and be like, oh, I'm not doing it right. I got to do something and change this up. So I didn't mean to go on a rant. I got all excited, but I just love that you're saying, like, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. Because even if you're not sure where you want to go or what you want to do, as long as you're moving, you're kind of stumbling forward. And maybe you were starting back here, but now, even though you didn't have it all figured out, you're a little bit further down the path of where you started. So I love it, man. I think that's awesome. And it's so cool. I'm going to be watching this year if there's sports and life begins as normal. I don't know what's going on with school and all that. Are you guys going to have school?
Yeah, so actually we're starting this week, this upcoming week. I think our first classes start on Wednesday, but everything's going to be remote. And I mean, going forward, it's looking like that's the way that it's going to be. So for now, we're just going to put our smiling faces on, and we're going to do that.
Yeah. Weird times. Weird times. So what can you do?
You can't control. We can't control these times, but what you can control is the attitude that you bring to these times. And that's why we have you here, Jesse, is to share a little bit about that. And I think that attitude of never giving up is it's a lesson, and it seems so easy, but to move from one failure to another without a loss of enthusiasm. So many times people, right? Have you heard that one, Jesse?
I love it. I love it, especially when you're young. Sometimes you have like this youthful exuberance where it's like you don't know certain things. You don't know what you don't know. So it's like you'll just go for it and be like, well, why wouldn't this work out if I just went for it? Why can't I go to DePaul? Why can't I be a D1 athlete? Why can't I play in the NBA? Where when you get older, sometimes it's easy to get jaded, and you see people let you down and fail. And that's something that I've had to work on, especially as like the attitude guy, right? That's my whole thing, as I go in and talk about the power of your attitude and the advantage that can give you in your life. And I believe in it more than anything. Like I truly believe it. Like you're saying, if you're going to talk about something, you want to be living it. And so with that being said, I struggle with my attitude all the time. You know, in Arizona, it's 115 today. Like, what the heck? I'm like, what do people do here? Like, what do you, it'd be easy to get upset or get down. But for me, it's a great thing to hold me accountable. But yeah, I love it, Brant. The attitude advantage is, to me, the most important thing that has impacted my life to help me, I guess, be more happy, fulfilled, and successful, if you consider it successful.
I consider it successful when I'm sitting at a shop in Salem, Oregon, having a drink, and all of a sudden on the TV is Jesse. And I'm like, dude, I know that guy. And that was pretty cool to see you doing those things. So I know some of them haven't worked out as well as you would have hoped. And there's been some times you've been turned down for roles and movies and things. But where you are now is because of all the failures you've had. And I don't think you win because of failure, but if you don't get through and learn how to deal with adversity and coming through failure, you're never going to get to the other side. You're never going to see it, right?
Yeah. No, I love that. So I can give you, I normally do like a whole presentation. We have virtual, it's like hybrid, and I could share the screen and do all that stuff. I didn't anticipate this. So I can give like a short version. And I think some of the people maybe even have heard, I've been to maybe some of the schools or the exclusive, but we can certainly do that another time. But I can jump in and just give like a short version of my story, and then I want to talk basketball, and I want to talk hoops and get into all that with you guys. So
yeah, for sure, man. That's awesome. First off, I got to give a shout out. I see you, D. Culp. I see Devin, my guy, football, UW, longtime supporter of Max Hoops and B Minor. So I appreciate you hopping on here, Devin. You watch that guy will play on Sundays, no doubt.
That's what I like to hear right there. My guy representing.
What is happening right now with football? Like every time I hear something, it's changing. Do we know, Brant or whoever?
Certain leagues are playing, certain leagues aren't playing. I don't know what they're saying here. We'll unmute. Devin, give us an update on what they're telling you.
We'll throw you on the spot.
So right now we're off. We've been off for the last 2 weeks. We were doing a lot more than all the other Pac-12 schools because the biggest problem was we weren't all under the same protocols, all the different schools. So when we came back, we were taking all the right precautions. So we were able to get really far ahead, and we were ready for a season. We would have played Michigan yesterday. So that was pretty frustrating with everything. But now they're telling us that we may have a season coming up in January, I'm hearing. So we're off now. We come back in 2 weeks. We start school, and we'll start workouts and doing all that stuff again and just getting ready for the season.
That's good to hear, man. I know it's got to be good to come, back to campus, because I know for me, like coming back to DePaul, everybody was so like, man, like we've been home for like 3-4 months, going on 5 months. We're like, man, we just can't wait to get back, see everybody, get back on the court with everybody. Because like for me, a big problem, kind of a big problem, but something that was very different was like, hey, I'm with my teammates every single day. You know what I mean? Like these guys literally become your family, and you see them on a daily basis, 7 days a week. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, can't see anybody. The only way I'm going to see them is on Zoom. And like, we can text every single day, but that's not the same. It's far from the same. So I know it's definitely exciting to, have coming back and, actually being able to play, or at least seeing everybody in the future.
Yeah, it's a good feeling for sure. I'm excited.
I need to get a better virtual background.
Keep working, D. Culp. Good to see you, man.
Always.
And hey, star in the classroom too, like highest team or highest GPA on the team, all that good stuff, man. I love to get those reports for sure.
Okay. I see you, Devin.
I'd be
Sharp
trying,
kid,
working
man.
hard.
My guy. So Jesse, we want to take us through a little bit, share with us kind of your journey, take us through it. Tell us a little bit more. Give us a little bit.
So the short version is it's just it's a kind of the oldest story ever told. It's the underdog story. So I grew up on this little island in Alaska, and it's called Pennock Island. There's no roads or stores, just our house, a few other houses. The woods, bear, deer. I call it a house, but Brant's seen the picture of it. It's like a little shack. My dad didn't start working until age 40. So we always give him a bad time about that still this day. My mom was a school teacher, and we would take this little boat across the town every day to get to school and for my mom to get to work. And it was just this little tiny town where there wasn't much to do. There was a lot of problems with drugs and alcohol and depression and suicide. It rained 13 feet a year, which my dad will, every time he meets someone new, will tell him, that's 2 of me. And he stands up and shows them how high the rain is. And for all of those factors, it was just a really depressing place to be. And a lot of great people, a lot of great memories, wonderful summers, but just tough, harsh winters. And with all that said, the thing that I struggled with was that I felt like I was trapped in this little place and I've never have any opportunity to get out. And the one big dream I had was to be a basketball player. I wanted to go to college like probably most of you and play ball. And then at that point, I wanted to go to the NBA. I wanted to take this as far as I possibly could. And the other big obstacle, besides being on this isolated little place, was that I'm smaller than the X factor. I think you said you're technically 5'8", X factor.
Yeah, I am 5'8", although don't tell on me. I'm telling on myself right now, but don't tell anybody.
So you got me by like half an inch, I think. So, just being the smallest guy, smaller than everyone, smaller than the girls, last to get picked when they line everyone up in gym class, tallest to shortest, the smallest one on the scale there. And I just decided early on, I had a bully experience, and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to go all in on this basketball thing. I love it, and I'm just going to put in all the time. And that's what I did. And I watched that movie I was referencing earlier, The Pistol, and I saw Pete Maravich just dribble this basketball on train tracks and spin it on his finger for an hour. And I basically just emulated that, but like the Alaska version of it. So I'm out in the snow and dribbling up the docks. And with anything in life, and that would be my thing that you were talking about earlier, whoever puts the most time in, yes, there's the LeBrons who won the genetic lottery and are going to be great, even if they put a minimal effort. But for most of us, the people who put in the time, and in this instance, the people who have the basketball in their hand the most, are going to be the people who are successful. And that's the only reason I ever had any level of success. Went on high school, went on and played college, San Diego, was able to have my education paid for, thankfully, because my family doesn't have any money. And then broke into entertainment and won stuff with the professor and all those guys, traveling the world, commercials, movies, TV shows, and now trying to get my own show and not just be a complimentary player on all these other shows. But it all comes down to who's willing to put in the work and put in the effort. And that's something that no one else can control except for you. And today, and I'm not even trying to say anything controversial, but today, one of the biggest things I see is this victim mindset. It's from any area of life. People want to become a victim. They want to say, well, my parents, in my situation, I'm a tiny little guy. I live on this little island. I don't have access to the AAU tournaments. We can't, back then we didn't really even have the internet, and YouTube wasn't popping like it is today to be able to even see what's possible and learn to train those techniques. But by doing that, you immediately take yourself out of the game, and it's so easy to become a victim. It's the easy way out. It takes no guts. It takes no courage. I call it getting bitter instead of getting better. And when you do that, it doesn't benefit you. Things are going to be unfair in your life. All of us are going to go through hardships, through struggle, through disappointment. And I can't see all your faces right now. Click over and see a few of yours. Only you know what that thing is for you. It could be a health condition. It could be a loss of a loved one, whatever that thing is. But what you can control is the decisions you're going to make and the effort that you're going to make. And I bring that back in the term I just used is attitude, but really it's your decisions and the actions you take. Today, everyone just wants something for nothing, right? Everyone just wants something, but they don't want to actually have to put in the work. You know, you see Kevin Hart, you see him in his career and be successful, but the guy goes like so hard in the paint. He's touring before he even popped off. He was touring for years and years and going and doing, you've heard it if you've ever watched any of his stand-up, like, yeah, I was doing a gig that they didn't pay me, and it was in a bowling alley, and the pins would knock over when I'd be halfway through my joke, and I'd have to start over and do the joke again. That's part of the grind of becoming great. You have to go all in. You have to stop feeling sorry for yourself. You have to not take on a victim mindset if you want to do anything great. A lot of people, the analogy people will use, like Tony Robbins or Gary Vee, if you know those guys, is like people want to have the biggest building in town. And there's two ways to go about it. You can go and try to tear down other people's buildings, or you can go and build your building up high and make it undeniably great. But guess what? If you go and try to tear down other people's buildings, that is a lot easier. It doesn't take any work, you know, very minimal work. But to build up your own thing, it can take years and years and decades and sacrifice and not be easy. But when you do something and you become undeniably great at anything, people have to pay attention. So that's kind of my little rant right there, you know, is it's easy to want to try to take the shortcut, but it's that process and it's that journey which not only gets you to where you want to be, but it can be the most fun time of your life. You know, I worked on a commercial fishing boat. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that show, The Deadliest Catch. I used to do that in college to go make some good money in the summer. And to be honest, it was an awful experience. I was horrible at fishing. I didn't know the knots. I'd get seasick. I'm from like this little island. I'm supposed to be good on boats, but I'm not because I was always in the gym. And it was awful. But some of my best memories today are talking about those awful experiences of being out there and not sleeping for days on end and having red stingy jellyfish pelt me in the face over and over again and feels like my face is going to fall off and it's stinging. You have to learn how to embrace that struggle. And for me, and maybe some of you guys can relate to this, if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't want to do it. So all these workouts, you know, for me, it was, I used to do 100, throwing the ball up, right hand, every day, right hand 100, left hand 100 calf raises. And I had like my whole routine of all these things that I have to do. Like I have to get this done today. But it never was like work for me because I learned how to enjoy it. And for me, I had then it was an MP3 player with music. And so I would just get like whatever the latest music was. And I would just visualize myself, you know, hitting the game winning shot against Juno, our arch rival. And the music was an escapism for me. So it never really was work. I was having so much fun that it made it worth it. So if you can't make it fun and you can't enjoy it, then you should find something else that, and I'm not saying quit basketball or anything like that, but find that thing that lights you up where it's so much fun you don't feel like it's work. It's still work, but when you're enjoying yourself, if you're going to be dedicating that much time to get those 10,000 hours, you want to at least be able to have fun. And whether it's music or having a show that you watch or people that you do it with and interact and push each other and talk smack to, that's a big thing that, you know, with the people in my life is we're giving each other a bad time good naturedly to push each other. So, yeah, those are some of the things, Brant, that stick out to me now, kind of with where these guys might be at in their journey, in their lives, in their basketball career, and then what's going on in the world right now with this, you know, strange time. We don't know what's going to happen. You know, we're all kind of just sitting and finding out like what's next.
I think that's so important and very valuable. What you said about you're continuing that story about just perseverance and driving through. With personal stories about yourself, like you are an inspiration because you literally, first of all, you're awesome. And I can tell you're a great person just by talking.
That's why you're the X Factor. That's why he's the X Factor right there. He's bringing it in. He's bringing it.
I'm bringing it in. So first of all, I can tell that you're an awesome person already. And I can tell why you've succeeded because to you, it really doesn't matter. Like, you know, you don't care what you came from. You don't care where you came from. All you knew, you could have came from a multi-million-dollar mansion or a shack. You're zoomed in on, listen, I'm going to accomplish my goals, period. So you wanted to be in the entertainment industry. You made that transition and you went from something small to being on the big screen with my idols. You know what I mean? And a lot of people's idols. Talking about Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, like they're literally some of the greatest people to ever touch a basketball and some of the greatest names in sports history. You know what I mean? Like, how many people
Yeah.
can say that? Not a whole lot of people can say that.
Yeah, I like what you said there too. Whether you came from a mansion or a shack, the crazy thing is, and this is it's amazing that this is even controversial or contrary to popular belief right now. But what doesn't kill you? They say, you know, we can. The quote is right. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And a lot of people don't believe that today, but it's absolutely true. Those things that you go through, like the struggles, the living in the shack, the being the underdog, you want to be the underdog. If I wanted to like give someone the perfect formula and recipe for what's going to make them be successful, you want to be the underdog, because then you're going to have a hunger and a drive inside of you. And that is the biggest differentiator. What's the word, Brant?
Differentiation?
Differentiate. Yes. But not but at the end.
Differentiator.
Okay, there we go. That's the biggest edge that you can have, is the hunger and drive inside of you. Because today we all have access to information, whether it's YouTube or Google. We can all look up, oh, here's the drills I need to do, or here's the information that I need, but it's who's going to actually go out and execute it. And you're going to be hungrier. You're going to have more drive inside of you if you feel like you come from, like, that's why the best fighters in boxing and UFC come from these other countries. And it's like, if I don't do this, my family is not going to survive. I'm not going to be able to feed them, to feed them. You want to be the underdog, and it's an advantage. And a lot of times the people who have everything and come from really affluent backgrounds, they have a tough go. You want to go through a struggle. You want to, fail. And that's something with parents too, is like, now we're protecting the kids a lot because you love your kid so much. You have good intentions. You want your kid to succeed, but your kid needs to learn to fail. Your kid needs to feel what it feels like to not get picked in PE class, and to miss the catch in the end zone and be embarrassed. And it's like, well, now you're going to stay and work harder. So when you go through something tough, it does actually make you stronger. And if you're wise enough to let it.
If you're wise enough to let it, that can sometimes be the tough part. I love what you said about enjoy the journey and get bitter or get better, because that's your option. That's only you get to decide your mindset. I mean, other people can try to make you have a bad day, whether that's a cop that pulls you over or somebody hits your car. They can try to make it, but at the end of the day, we get to control the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we act. Those are the things we get to control.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And like you're saying, to kind of bring it a little further, is at this point you kind of learn things as you grow, and it's like, how can I maximize every day so that I have the most joy and most fun in every day? Because that's what it's all about. Life is short, so we want to squeeze out everything we can. So it's like when I was a lot of your guys' age, it was like all I cared about was getting buckets. Like I want to get buckets, and I want to meet cute girls. Like those are the only two things that I cared about for a long time. Like, and it's, how can I have the most fun doing this? Well, what makes sports a lot of fun is when you win and when you're really good at it. Like I don't want to, like, you can be on a great team and have great things around you, but if you're losing, it's going to be a horrible experience. You can try to have a good attitude, but it's a lot easier when you're winning. So to set yourself up for all these things, how do I not give away my power to other people? Like you said, whether it's someone pulling you over or traffic or a bad relationship you're in, you got to protect your energy, and you got to protect it by having systems and filters to block out all the noise. Right now, if you were tuned into like the news, which a lot of us were, I was heavily over, like, especially starting like February, March, you would think the world is going to end. It's about to be a civil war. It's the end of the world, World War Z, the whole thing. When in reality, we live in the best time in the history of the world. Life has never been easier. We got Wi-Fi, we got the Laker game on. There's never been less of the issues that people are trying to make it that there are. It's never been a better time to live there. We're in this world that is filled overwhelmingly with good people with great intentions that want to do the right thing. Yes, there's some bad people out there, but overall, it's a really good time, and you have to protect what you see, because if you let yourself get in this echo chamber, you'll let all this bad stuff take your energy, put you in a bad mood. I've met so many people during this last 6 months who are depressed, who are suicidal, and it's all because of what they're allowing into their life, what they're allowing into their mind. Like what you put into your head is so precious, and you have to guard it with everything that you have. So I have something, Brant. Oh, there we go.
If you're trying to figure out what to put into your mind, if you're trying to figure out what to think about, I highly recommend Among the Giants.
People don't read, bro. People don't read anymore. That's so 2010. But
I know I'm so old school that I have an actual book, but it's a great book. The author, he's a pretty cool guy too. But how one underdog pursued his dreams, and you can too. Allen Iverson quote there, by the way.
AI. That's what X Factor was talking about. Getting to rub shoulders with people like Allen Iverson or Kevin Durant. You know, I got to spend a month with KD doing that movie Thunderstruck, and it's just seeing the work ethic. Like he, you know, like if you like KD, you don't like KD, his burner accounts, whatever you think of him, you know, the guy was shooting this movie, but getting up earlier before all of us, and then going and doing his workouts before the shoot day started, and then doing the same thing afterwards and in between stuff too. So it's like he's there for a reason. Yes, he's a genetic wonder, but you know, he's making the most of that opportunity, you know, and that's what's really cool when you get to be around greatness and see it up close and personal, of just watching. If you're really hungry, if you really have that drive and that thirst, you're going to want to ask certain questions. You're going to want to, you know, see how they move, see how they interact with people, see what they eat. You know, he didn't eat well then. I remember being like, you're eating Gushers, man. Like, what are you talking about over here? But who
doesn't love Gushers? I mean,
I love Gushers.
By the foot, Gushers.
Come on. You're KD. You can't be eating Gushers. I'm not okay with that. I need my superstars to not be eating Gushers.
Maybe Starburst instead.
But here's something I have, Brant, that I want to I send to you, and you could use it however you want. I was telling our bud Conboy, the great and powerful Matthew Conboy, the other day. Something I really took away from this time was, yes, it could have been a very negative experience. So we'll drive home this attitude thing, right? So the year before, I made the most money I've ever made, you know, doing these speaking tours, sponsors, all these things. Great year. Then this year has been just totally dry. You know, nothing that I can't go to schools. I can't do these organizations. I'm doing some virtual things, but it'd be very easy to be like angry, mad at the president, mad at whoever you want to blame all these things on, who even knows at this point, you know. But I realized I have a really unique opportunity, and if I can take advantage of this time that I never have, because I'm always so busy. So now I'm home and I'm not traveling and on the road all the time. I can create all these programs and do all these things that I've been trying to do for the last 3 to 5 years that I never have time for. So in this time, I've never been more productive and gotten more done than I have. And it would have never happened if it wasn't for this quarantine and this lockdown that we're in. So it's that same thing. It's like, okay, we have this kind of unfortunate situation, but how can we turn it into a good one? You know, I'm out in Phoenix. I'm hanging out with my nephews in the pool today. I'm getting to do things that I wouldn't be doing otherwise. And one of those things that I put together, I'll send to you, Brant, and you can share with them. It's called it's free. It's just Be the 1% training. And it's my thoughts. And I want to share this with you guys and get some of your guys' feedback on it. So it's not just me talking to you, but we actually have a conversation. Is I think, and you tell me what you think, X Factor, the biggest competitive advantage we have today, as opposed to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, is what we focus our attention on. Because everyone I know is, like a text message, everyone I know is addicted to this thing. I'm listening to a book because, like I said, people don't read now, so I'm on Audible right now, called Irresistible. And it's all about addiction, whether it's drugs or gambling. But the big thing is with technology. And so today, it's so easy to get caught up scrolling, looking at what everyone else is doing, whether it's people we know or celebrities or the NBA players. And most of the things I would argue those people are posting aren't even real. It's right, the highlight reel that they're going and doing photo shoots and acting like they're in the perfect relationship when they really hate each other. And you're wasting all your time watching what these other people who are irrelevant to your life are doing. And when I go and speak to like a bigger audience, there'll be like 1,000 kids, and I'll say, go on your phone right now, and they all have phones, and let's look up, go to the settings, let's see how much time you're on your phone. And the answers are terrifying. I think some of them are sleeping with their phone playing because it was like 20 hours. And I'm like, how's that even possible? You know what I mean? So if I want to be great, let's say at basketball, I want to be the best ball handler or shooter, while everyone else is scrolling and worrying about what the other people are doing, if I took that time, let's say it was 5 hours a week, and I put the phone away and I just focus on that thing, playing an instrument, stand-up comedy, whatever, you are going to have such a huge advantage. And I would argue that it's never been easier to get the advantage on other people, but you just have to be disciplined and you just have to be focused. So that training I'll send you, Brant, basically gives you ways to block out all the noise, whether it's news, social media, your computer, TV, and put systems in place. Because if you don't have a system, it's too easy just to be like, I guess I'll see what my phone says. Where back in the day, if you didn't have something going on, you just got to sit there and be bored and be with your own thoughts and actually have to think about things. Where it's like today, oh, we're never bored. I'm going to go see what's popping on IG, and I'm going to go see what's going on Snapchat or TikTok or whatever the flavor of the time is, So me, I only follow 28 people, and a lot of them I felt like I had to follow them because I'm in business with them and they make me money, right? So I didn't want to be disrespectful to the relationship, but people got mad. I had 40-year-old, beautiful women calling me you unfollowed me on Instagram and blah, blah. And I'm like, you're 40. Why do you care about what someone following you on Instagram? I'll never talk to you again. I'm like, cool. Well, I just learned everything I need to know about you. I don't need to talk to you anyways. But so it upset people. It was mostly women, which was interesting. I think maybe the guys don't even know, but it's I'm not living my life to try to impress other people, or I don't have to go to your birthday party. If I went to everyone's birthday party, wants me to go to their birthday party, that's 100 nights out of the year that I'm at something that I probably don't want to be at. Maybe I want to be at half of them. And I'm missing out on time. If you're Brant with his 2-year-old daughter, trying to keep her alive and happy and learning how to be a functional little human person, or you being in the gym, working on your hoop moves and your dance moves for the ESPN, Sports Center highlights, if I can, again, take that time where everyone else, see what everyone else is doing and then do something different. In LA, everyone wanted to, is out there to be an actor. I just went out there to do basketball commercials. My buddies jump 45 inches and go between their legs and over people. So I was like, I can't do that. So how am I going to get in these commercials? So that's when I was like, I need to learn how to do tricks. So I found this guy, his name's Johnny Fife. He married Michael Bolton's daughter, which is a random fun fact that is irrelevant, but kind of funny. And I was like, hey man, will you teach me how to do the tricks? And this is what I was telling you earlier. You find the people that are already successful at what you want to do. Find those people that are already successful and learn from them. And if you go there with a good attitude and some hunger and you're polite, a lot of times they're going to want to help you. So this guy taught me how to do the tricks. And the next thing you know, I'm booking these things with Kobe and the movies and with KD and these different things. And then I'm like, okay, everyone else, they go and they get headshots and they go and they audition and they, they hand the little headshot paper with your resume and that's what you do. And I'm like, well, that doesn't seem very good for my odds. I would show up to these basketball commercials and they'd be like, oh, hey, this is for basketball. Because they'd look at me, right? The little 5'7" Alaska guy. And I'd be like, oh, really? Well, let me, since I'm here, let me just audition, I guess. And then I'd have this shock factor. Again, the thing that could maybe be my underdog. I don't look like a basketball player. I'm not booking the NBA roles. I'm booking the high school kid or the college kid. But I can use that to my advantage because now I have a shock factor. So the next thing I did was I was like, let me find out where the basketball, where the successful entertainment people play basketball. It wasn't that hard. I found out Tuesday mornings in Santa Monica, 10 a.m. And I just show up. And on the first day I showed up, there was 9 guys and I was the 10th guy. And I just went in there and I acted like I was lost. And they're like, hey, we need one more to run 5s. Do you want to play? And I'm like, I guess I could. I mean, I'm here. Let's do it. And what happened was on my team was Josh Hutcherson from the Hunger Games, Michael B. Jordan from Everything Now, who else that first day? But and then some pretty big directors. And now all of a sudden, not only am I developing friendships and relationships with these people who are way more successful than me and who are where I want to be eventually, they actually are coming to me because they like, I kind of have a, not even an equal playing field. I kind of have the leg up on them because I'm better than them at basketball. And so they want me to come be on their team and they want me to play in the other leagues with them and these different things. So I started developing all these relationships, and it was all because I didn't just do what everyone else did. I was like, how can I use my strength, that thing that makes me unique, that thing that makes me stand out to break into this? Because if you do the same thing as everyone else, you're going to get the same results. So, and I've done that same formula, whether it's basketball, whether it was breaking into entertainment, whether it was breaking into speaking, right? I did the same thing. I found the top people, I annoyed them, I showed up, and got very charismatic in front of them in person and convinced them to put me in their speaker bureau and this and that. And that's the thing that I'll come full circle to being hungry and having that drive. Because if you want something bad enough, like I asked you earlier, like, what would you recommend people do? And people come to me like, well, what do I do? Like, I don't got to tell you anything. You'll figure it out. If you want it bad enough, you're going to figure it out. And there's nothing that I can say or do that will change that, you know? And if anything, I'll try to discourage people sometimes, because if you come to me and you want to be a speaker or you want to be in entertainment as an actor and stuff, and I give you like a little talk like, hey man, it's hard. You're not going to have health insurance, you know, that you might not make any money the first 2-3 years, and you quit, you weren't going to make it anyways. So I'd rather just save you the pain, because there's, like, I was with some guy the other day who was a big hotshot producer and did all these shows, Bar Rescue. That's the only one I can remember. There's better shows than that. But he basically was like, he told me, he's like, oh yeah, your show will never get picked up. This one show that I'm like really want to do. And I just looked at him, and it's that same underdog, that same little basketball player in Alaska that's told I can't play basketball. It's like, oh, okay. I can't wait to send you the deadline, you know, reporter article from when I do it, because it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. I might get told no 100 more times and get embarrassed and lose all my money and have to ask my family if I could come back and move in with them. I don't care. Like, I don't care, because I'm so focused on that thing, and I'm so hungry, and so there's nothing that will take me away from that. And that's, if you really want something, that's the kind of hunger and drive that you have to have. And you can figure out all the rest, because we're in the age of information. It's those who actually take action. And it's that fear a lot of times that hold us back. All right, Brant.
What about if people call you little pony boy? Stormin' Norman. Yeah. So yeah, that was the bully. That was the bully in 7th grade. I was the little guy, and I went up to get this rebound, and the guy, this was like a really big moment, because at lunch in Schoenbar Middle School, a lot of times I don't get many rebounds. So I'm going up for it. And this guy who was basically maybe 3 years older, he'd been held back a couple years, was giant. He was a giant man boy. And he just came over, and he didn't even jump, and he just snatched the ball away. And he looked down at me, and he said something that is honestly very funny and clever, but at the time it wasn't very nice. And he goes, what are you going to be when you grow up? A pony rider? So he actually not a pony boy, a pony rider. And I didn't know what that meant. But then like 30 seconds went by, and I was like, oh, like a horse jockey, and they're little. And he's saying that I'm going to ride ponies, which are even smaller. And I remember just being so like sad and depressed, and like, dang, maybe basketball isn't for me, and this isn't what I should be doing. And, but again, that's hitting some adversity. People go through so much harder things than a bully or being told they can't do something. But in that moment, I decided, you know what? I'm going to prove Stormin' Norman wrong. And I want to show this guy, like, I'm going to become the best basketball player that I possibly can become. And so it's, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when you hit that roadblock, when you have that injury, or you don't come from a great opportunity, or you don't make the team, you get cut, someone tells you you're not good enough. Like, what are you going to do? Because today's world, it's easy to want to give up and be a victim and say, you know, life's just not fair. You're right. Life is not fair. It's never going to be fair. You're going to constantly struggle and go through these things. But in that moment, it's easy to have a good attitude when you're hitting the game-winning shot, when you're everything's going perfect in your life, when everyone's laughing at your jokes. But when you hit rock bottom and things aren't going your way, you get to see what you're really made of. And that's when you see your character, and that's when you see what your attitude really is. So
you have to welcome, you know, those opportunities. And it's something, I'm saying this like it's like, oh yeah, it's just easy. It's hard. It's so hard. I struggle with it. I'm going through a breakup with this beautiful Colombian supermodel that I've been in this toxic thing for like 2 years. She's an amazing girl, but we're just not good for each other. And it sucks. I'm sad. Like I literally moved to get away from her because she followed me and lived like where I could come out of my garage and see her house, which is a little creepy and maybe should have been a sign that there were some red flags or whatever. But but I can either choose to keep being sad and being depressed and like, I'll never find another girl that likes me like her and is so pretty and hair smells like cinnamon. Okay, that's a little weird. I'll stop there. Channeling my inner Ron Burgundy. But it's, you have to, life's too short. Life's too short and you have to figure it out and you have to move on and you have to learn. And that's something, Brant, that I've really, as an adult, I've really honed in on is thin slicing and making decisions fast. So sizing up people and reading them, otherwise you'll waste a lot of time on different things. And it's such a powerful skill. And there's so much, not surveys, but research that shows if you're someone like me, like say Brant's like, hey, Jesse, I want to offer you a position to come and you're going to do the podcast with us and you're going to be a part of all the basketball stuff that I'm doing, all the work. And I'm going to offer you this salary, but I need you to relocate. How I would have handled that decision 5 years ago is I would have talked to 15 people. I would have written a pros and cons list. I would have thought and deliberated about it back and forth for months before I make a decision. And it's, the research shows the more that you do that, a lot of times you make the wrong decision because you overanalyze it. We know intuitively a lot of times in our gut what we should do, whether it's if we should trust somebody. You know, just walking down the street, if you see someone and you're like, it's late, it's dark, this person's acting, their behavior, something's off a little bit, the way they're moving and they're looking around. There's a reason you have this, it's the survival part of your brain, you know, that's thousands and thousands of years old. So to follow that gut and to follow that intuition and talking about failing, that's something that I've learned now to do faster. If you're going to fail, at least fail fast. I had a lady lead me on with $2 million for about 12 months a year ago. And she just kept dangling this carrot out. And I gave her my time and attention when she needed it. And it ended up all being a bunch of BS. So I had a similar situation last month. This lady, she's going to give me $5 to $20 million to do this whole thing. And I'm like, I've heard this before. Like, I'm not getting suckered into it. And so what we did was we made her, okay, if you want to do this, we need 80 grand a month right now, 50 for my manager, 20 for me, 10 for my other manager, Jennifer, who Brant knows. And
lovely.
So,
by the way, hi, Jennifer, if you're watching this.
Jennifer, we'll send this to her. Always,
hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
Yeah, she's amazing. But then the lady was like, I can't do it right now because I need to launch these 2 other companies and then I want to do it. Okay, maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. But either way, I'm not going to waste any more time on it and I move on to the next thing. So learn to fail fast and keep it pushing.
That was kind of what I did in college, was just kind of like, well, if I spend all this time studying, I'm just going to trust my instinct. I'm going to go into that test and just give it my gut feeling.
How did that go for you?
I got a degree. I got a master's degree.
The test might be a little different.
A little bit different, but I love that fail fast. I also there's so many things about life is about the joy and enjoying the journey. So many good nuggets of information there that you're just giving these guys. So hopefully you guys are listening, because all sorts of wisdom and gold that Jesse's spewing right now. So we appreciate that, man.
Yeah. And I'm saying it, but it's so funny because if Jennifer was here, she'd be yelling or laughing, one of the two. It's so hard to do. Like, especially for me, because I'm like, well, I'm not going to be successful until I'm making this many millions of dollars and I have this many shows and it's winning awards. And it's like, life is pretty good right now, right? I'm hanging out in the pool today with my family. Like, life is never going to be better than how you have it in the moment. And there's so many people, and I've been really fortunate to spend time with literally 1%ers who have the planes and the yachts in the Bahamas and the Mediterranean, and so many of them are unhappy, and so many of them get there and they maybe had a mindset like I've had, where it's like, when I get there, then I'll be happy. And I've had some cool things happen, you know, the movies and this and that. And it's like, you get there and you're like, this is cool, but maybe this isn't it. Maybe that's not the thing that's going to fulfill me and make me happy. So if you can find that thing, but it's hard, and it's something that I struggle with all the time, and I have to chill and stop myself and be like, hey, stop. Like today, like I want to be working on things. It's like, it's Sunday, just chill, maybe take a nap. I don't know. And have like have a good time, because Matt, our friend Matt Conboy, I think some of you guys know him. He has a good quote of be where your feet are, because that's the only place you can be. So stop worrying about what other people have. Stop worrying about what you wish you had, or for a lot of people, it's looking to the past of things like mistakes that I've made, or things that I don't know if people will ever forgive me or stop judging me. You gotta not focus on the past so much, hopefully learn from it and know where you're going, but not be obsessed with it, so that you can be here right now. X Factor, what do you got?
Listen, man, that's extremely, extremely powerful. I want to say, man, you are the king of perseverance. When I think of Jesse from now on, I'm going to think of the king of perseverance. I have a story actually that ties into what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And it amazed me. It amazed me. This is about a week ago, right? And we're driving down Lakeshore Drive in Chicago. It's my girlfriend and I. And, Lakeshore Drive, beautiful, beautiful area. You got a view of the water over here. You got the skyline over here. Everything's amazing. And we're just having a great time. And I'm like, man, this is a beautiful view. This is a beautiful moment. We need these, and we can't take these for granted, because 2020 has been so crazy. We need these. She said, what are you talking about? 2020 has been the best year for me. I was like, what are you talking about? It's been the best year for you. We got a pandemic. We got this and that and that.
Yeah.
I'm a very positive person, very, very positive. I'm like, what are you talking about? 2020 has been the best year. Are you kidding? She's like, listen, I've had so much more time. She launched a podcast. She got the job that she always wanted. She got to do this and that and that. She had so much more time to appreciate things. She said, I've been going to different beaches and different beautiful scenic areas that I've always wanted to see, but never had the time for. She said, what are you talking about? 2020 is terrible. 2020 has been amazing. And I sat there and I was like, wow. You know what I mean? First of all, there's a lot that I can learn from this girl. And that's why I think I'm lucky.
You got a winner. You got a winner, bro. Yeah. You got someone that builds you up and has that perspective. That's something, not to make it about me, I'll bring it right back to you, but that's something that was hard in the relationship I was in, is sometimes another person can be having a hard time at work, or they focus not on the glass being half full, right? So it's like, man, a car parked too close to me and people are honking at me and there was traffic. And it's just like, it can be exhausting when it's projected on you. So when you have someone like you found that is like, oh man, like 2020 is amazing and has this positivity, that's everything, man. Like that's such a huge win. And I'm so happy, man, that you have that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Definitely. I told her is, hey, if 2020 is awesome, just wait until 2021 when all this stuff's over. We're going to have even more fun. But I want to give you some credit, because I need to know what you did to make your girl love you so much that she's moving all over the place to follow you. You must have did something.
I don't know. It's probably we'll talk later.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds good. We'll talk about this off the Zoom.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it was a good decision on her part or not. I think she actually followed me after I broke up with her one of the times, and it was like, oh, I'm going to get him back. So that's probably not a healthy start as well. So this isn't a relationship podcast, because we'll mess all you guys up.